incredibly grateful to the organisers for inviting me to be here today. As you have heard from that introduction, I feel very out of place. An anatomist coming to a humanities conference, I guess, isn't that common. So I'm incredibly grateful for the chance to be here. I've learned a huge amount this morning already, a lot of food for thought that I can take back, and I hope what I've got to say will also be of some interest for you. So what I'm going to tell you about over the next 20 minutes or so is essentially our attempt in Edinburgh to open up the black box that is anatomy teaching to the public. Why do we do that? Well, we think anatomy is something we should all know about. One thing we all share is we all have a body. And yet one thing the vast majority of us also share is that we know next to nothing about what lies underneath our skin. And that's kind of worrying in some ways, because we have this constant flow of information about how we have to look after our bodies, how we have to be healthy, and all these things coming through. Look after your body, know your body, understand your body. And yet actually our real knowledge and understanding of the body in terms of its anatomy is really quite crude. So that's perhaps where we are now, but that's certainly not how things were in the past. This picture here is the front cover of a very famous anatomy textbook by Vesalius, published in 1543, on the fabric of the human body. And this is really one of the first textbooks where pictures, drawings of dissected human cadavers are displayed for the purposes of education. But what you'll see on the front cover here is actually the spectacle of a public dissection. So what you can hopefully make out in the middle here is the corpse being dissected, the abdomen's open up here. There's people doing the dissection and talking about it, and a really quite large crowd gathered around. The crowd would have been as much public, and by that I mean people from every walk of life just turning up to learn, see what's going on, as it would be people in medical training. So back in Renaissance Italy, and similar things were happening around the rest of Europe at these times, there was a real accessibility of anatomical education to the public. Now, for the rest of my talk, I'm making quite a strong kind of premise that I haven't got time to argue about, so I hope you're going to accept it. And that is that, as an anatomist, I firmly believe you can learn facts about human anatomy from reading textbooks. You can appreciate anatomy from looking at computer screens. But to understand human anatomy, to apply human anatomy, you have to have studied the real thing. By the real thing, I mean a human body. In health, in terms of a living person, and or a cadaver that has been dissected. So these lucky people in some ways back in the 1500s had access to that. Now, there's probably not a very strong moral or ethical grounds for returning to anything like that. They were spectacles, they were probably as much for entertainment as they were for education. But this is certainly what happened. Now, that was all looking good. Things were happening in the UK up until the early 19th century, and then everything changed. And it changed because of events which basically were precipitated by a demand for bodies. More and more human bodies were required to fulfill the requirements for medical training, public dissections. And so people realised there was an opportunity to make money. People such as Burke and Hare, two famous murderers from Edinburgh, were essentially procuring bodies through means that were not particularly nice, i.e. they were murdering to order. So this chap here, Burke, his skeleton is now within the University Museum of Edinburgh, and I'm in my chair of anatomy, I'm officially the custodian of Burke's skeleton. Title not I'm sure I would like, but I am. And these guys essentially led to a major outcry in the public, in the media, about murdering individuals for the study of anatomy. This all came to a head in the area of 1832 with the introduction of the Anatomy Act. Enough was enough. Basically, these things had to be legalised. The Anatomy Act came in expressly to stop the supply of bodies through illicit means. So bodies could only be provided for anatomy, for dissection, for learning anatomy, from several very kind of clear channels. And this is just a short extract from the Act. I won't go into any great detail, but the bottom line was that this Act led to anatomy becoming the preserve of medical teaching and medical teaching only. Essentially, the only way you could get access to bodies was through medical teaching, mainly in university departments. And to be honest, up until the last couple of years, that's the way things have stayed. Anatomy teaching with the use of cadavers has been the sole preserve of medics in training. No one else has really been able to access that type of education. So, what does that actually mean in terms of public understanding of anatomy? Now, I know you've all had lunch, so you should have some relatively high blood sugar levels. So, and you're a professional audience, I know you're well educated, so you should maybe do better than the general public. Let's see how we get on with your anatomical knowledge and see how you compare to what the public knows. So, a couple of questions for you very quickly. Which drawing of these, A, B, C or D, shows the proper location of the stomach? Quick show of hands. Who thinks A? B? C? A few C's. D? Oof. Okay, so majority of D. I said you're an educated audience, and I was right. You're right. D is correct, but perhaps surprisingly, maybe not surprisingly, when this question was put to the public, and this is some work being done by some colleagues from Edinburgh recently, only about a third of the public could get that right. Another one for you. A bit more difficult. What's the true location of the spleen? Who thinks A? B? C? D? Oh, and there's an awful lot of I'm not going to answer, aren't you? Okay, fair enough. The correct answer is D. You're not alone if you got it wrong or you're worried. Less than a third, and about a quarter of the public got that right. Probably a large number of them from guesswork. One final one for you. Which is the correct position of the kidneys? A? You guys, B? C? D? Fair scattering there. The correct answer is A. Again, only about a third of the public knows that. Now, not wishing to diminish your anatomical knowledge, they are really quite simple, basic questions about where major organs are in your body. And if you had been to a public dissection like that one I showed you on the first picture, in cellular time, you would know that, because you would have seen these organs in position in a human body. The fact now is, we've got our skin, we look at ourselves in the mirror, we can't even put onto that where these major organs of the body actually exist. If it was around the back?
Yes, so it's
yeah, possible. Yeah, right. I'll take your point. So, we don't have a great amount of anatomical knowledge. What is there that you can get as a member of the public beyond perhaps getting a textbook or going onto YouTube, something like that? Well, recently, the last 10 years or so, there's been things that are quite controversial. As an anatomist, these kind of body world exhibits are not something I find comfortable, they're not something I particularly agree with. There's an awful lot of ethical and moral questions that come with them, but they are undoubtedly massively attractive to the general public. Guns of Van Hagens has DVD, TV programs, the touring Body Worlds exhibition, they get a huge number of people going to these. There's a demand from the public to see this. Whether that's through a want for education or for other reasons of entertainment, what have you, of course we could debate. But there's certainly a lot of people going to these. Can these help public knowledge of anatomy? Well, this is a quick table here of some data, and this is the percentage of respondents getting the correct answer for the position of various organs of the body, using those questions I've just given you a minute ago. And you can see that for some of them, for example, stomach, intestines and liver, before a visit to the Body Worlds exhibition and after a visit, the members of the public actually knew a little bit better, knew a little bit more anatomy than before they went in. So even with something as crude and perhaps kind of exhibitionist as something like this, there is still the ability for people to learn some basic anatomy. So where does that leave someone like myself working in the sphere of academic anatomy and academic medicine, in terms of we want to perhaps open up again the opportunity to educate the public, but how do we do it in a way that is not that kind of sensationalist exhibitionism of something like Gunther von Hagens? Well, we were helped massively in 2006 in Scotland, 2004 in England, with a change in the law. So in 2006 in Scotland, the Human Tissue Scotland Act came in, and this is building on the Anatomy Act of 1984. And this act revolutionised what you can do with human cadavers. It changed a lot of those draconian measures that were brought in 1832 to allow facilities like this is a photograph of my dissection lab at the University of Edinburgh, to be opened up an awful lot more. We still had to work with an incredibly strict guideline, legal guideline, ethical, moral guidelines, all these things were very, very clearly defined to us. But there was a possibility with this change in the law of opening up our facilities and our expertise to people other than medics who are in training. So we thought, can we tempt the public? Can we see if the public would actually want to engage with us to learn some anatomy in an educational setting, not in some kind of entertainment setting? So to test this, test the water a little bit in a way that wasn't perhaps too troubling or too much stress for us, we started running a few years back art and anatomy sessions. So these are sessions where we have body kind of models come in, and artists and surgeons work side by side to paint anatomically correct structures on the surface of the body. So you can see here an example of the heart, some of the great vessels coming up the side of the neck here, painted on the front of the body model, and this is anatomically correct. This isn't kind of artistic license, this is as it is underneath the skin. If you peel back the skin, that's what you should see. We ran these workshops, we've been running them for a couple of years, and we've been absolutely inundated. We had to, couldn't offer everyone a place who wanted to come on it. But even more surprising, we thought this would be basically medical students who wanted to do some art, and perhaps some artists who wanted to do some anatomy. But we were swamped with nurses, massage therapists, sports physios, you name it, every walk of life. And when we gave them feedback sheets, why are you coming to art and anatomy? Well, because I need to learn some anatomy. I need it for my job, I want to learn about the body. I've got no way of doing it. So I thought I'd learn from this. Did you learn? Yes. What else could we do? Please let me into your dissection labs. Okay, so we thought there might have been an interest, we might have got 4 or 5 people interested, but actually there's an overwhelming response coming in through activities we were running, saying, please, please, can we have some proper anatomical education run by you using human cadavers? So, we took the plunge. We set up the first series of public anatomy workshops that I think have been run for over 100 years in the UK. This is the only way we really advertised it. It was on our website. We were very, very cautious. We put some adverts out and we designed a series of workshops that were basically 6 one-day sessions through the year covering different regions of the body, limited to 25 people, a whole day, lectures, practicals, and actually hands-on learning in a dissection lab. We put that out, and within a day of that going online, we'd sold every place and every course for the whole year, and we had a waiting list of over 500 people. People have come from abroad, people have come from all over the UK. The number of sign-ups was really, really quite striking. We were overwhelmed. Okay, this is good news in some ways, but bad news in others, because we really thought, okay, we're going to have to do this properly if we're going to do it at all. So, these are the spaces that the people visiting our public workshops get to go to. Normally, before now, all locked down. If you remember the public, you couldn't come into these. We have our main atrium area, we have our old anatomy lecture theatre, and we have the dissection lab. All of these areas, all of a sudden, we're going to open them up to the public. We're going to run anatomy education in spaces that previously were locked down. Okay, we're going to do this, let's do it right, let's prepare properly. Me and my colleagues sat down, we spent hour after hour going over every aspect of what we were going to do. These are just some of the things we had to consider. Do we have a public display licence? Yes, we had to convince the minister in Scotland that this was all above board, it was proper, it was for the right reasons. They rightly asked us a lot of questions, but in the end they gave us a licence, and there's actually a copy of this year's licence for our workshops. They ensured we're acting within the letter and the spirit of the law, which is really important to us as well as to the people who are watching over us. Most importantly, there would be no active dissection. This is a red line in the law. People can come and look at body parts. What they can't do is actually dissect bodies or watch me dissect the body. You can see bodies that have been dissected, You can handle them, you can move them around, you just can't actually get a scalpel and cut them. That's a really clear red line in the legal framework. Perhaps most importantly of all, for us, to feel that we are doing this properly, these are going to be education, not entertainment. That is absolutely critical to us agreeing that we're going to do this. This was not a curiosity shop. This was not turn up and see a dead body. This was come and learn some anatomy using the tools you need to learn anatomy properly. To make sure of that, every single applicant was personally vetted by myself or one of my senior colleagues. If there was any doubt, we phoned them. If there was any doubt after phoning them, we didn't offer them a place on the course. So anyone that could not tell us exactly why they wanted to come and had reasons that were what you would regard as perhaps above board, i.e. for educational purposes, we simply didn't allow them onto one of our courses. All applicants were told very clearly what to expect. We didn't want anyone turning up and the look of horror on their face when they were shown a cadaver. So we briefed everyone very carefully. We had a very carefully structured schedule, so there was no kind of gore or shock or horror. It was all very gradual, done sensitively and carefully, revealing material to people in a way that wasn't going to shock them. We ensured we had the appropriate cadaver material. We started fully briefed. We did everything we possibly could. So we thought, we're ready to go. We have our workshops planned, we have the licenses, and we have the people to come. Okay, what could possibly go wrong? What can go wrong is the media. The Times got wind of the fact we were doing this and sent a reporter to see me. I spent 2 hours in my office telling him all what I've just been telling you there. There is no dissection. There is no entertainment value. It is education. This is not back to the days of Burke and Hare. This is modern education for the public. This is a good thing. This is about helping public health. On and on and on and on I went. Yes, 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 he told me. It's fine. He sent me his text. I insisted that before they published it. I read it. It was fine. Well, I didn't realise that he didn't write the headline. And he didn't write captions for photographs. They went to the central editorial office. So I woke up on the morning looking forward to seeing this great balanced piece of editorial on our workshops in the Times, and what I was greeted with was autopsies of public theatre again, and me looking more skeletal than Burke's skeleton in the photo. And you might see down here, Professor Don Gillingwater will dissect human remains in public. That one article led to all other newspapers then running stories. Pay £100 to see bodies get chopped up. These kind of things. It was just the most stressful days you can imagine. As an academic anatomist who'd spent months preparing this to be a carefully planned, proper, educational, we got hammered in the press. And this is far from the truth as what we were actually trying to deliver. So we sent the university lawyers to work, and they got a few headlines changed, and a lot of the stuff that was on the webs disappeared, which is good. But this was a real kind of wake-up call to us that we thought we were doing something that would be taken in a positive light, but unfortunately the kind of the shadow of the body snatchers is still there. The Burke and Hare, the gore is still what people associate with anatomy in some ways. Fortunately, the editor at the Lancet saw this and invited us to write an academic response to that, justifying our position, which we were very grateful for. So we wrote an academic response, which was incredibly well received, and we went ahead and we did the workshops. And perhaps the most important feedback of all then came from the people who came on our workshops. And this is just two examples. There's some quantitative and qualitative feedback from the workshops we ran last year, a series of 6 of them. 2 questions. One, how useful was the course? The vast majority of applicants said it was very useful or useful. And then we asked them, how important was it that we used human cadaveric material on these courses? Could we have done it with models or with books? And you see again, almost every single applicant said that it was very important that we used cadaveric material. They went down incredibly well. So much so that we're running them again this year, and again, we're massively oversubscribed in terms of the numbers of people who want to come. And the quote down the bottom here is just from one of the students who was basically kind of summing up the fact they didn't think it would be available to them. It was, and it's basically given them an experience that they won't forget. We've had a lot of feedback like that. So, the workshops run, we can do it, we can now, we've got a proof of principle, we can run these, we can engage with the public, and we can start educating about the human body in a way that hasn't really been done in the UK or anywhere else, certainly in the kind of Western world, for the last 100 years or so. I think that's quite exciting. I think it's empowering people. It's giving people information, which is important that they can have about their bodies. And the feedback we've got is that it's being received well, and we're achieving what we're set out to do. Where do we go in the future? Well, we're putting a lot of effort and investment into technology to try and expand anatomical education for the public. There are things like three-dimensional interactive apps for iPads that are coming online. We have these large iPad-esque tables that you can dissect on, the virtual dissectors and things, and they're great. The public love them, people want to engage with them. If we get school kids into the department, they'll gather around these and play with them for hours on end. But I would argue that these are a supplement to what really is the way that you learn anatomy. So to go back to the premise I started with 20 minutes ago, to really understand the human body, you have to look under the skin. To look under the skin, you have to look at a real human body that has been dissected. So essentially, we're convinced that that holds, that we can do it. We're continuing to do that. We're upgrading our courses. We're running additional courses this year, perhaps slightly more specialist ones designed towards massage therapists, nurses or what have you. But the interest from the general public at large remains very, very high. So I hope that's been of some interest and used to. Perhaps just shows one example of how, at least in an academic setting, we're trying to engage the public actively with medical type material, in this case, anatomy and understanding of the human body. I'll just finish up by thanking colleagues at the university who have been instrumental in getting these workshops off the ground. Thank you very much.